So I think Anita brought up some really important points that we all have to think about. And one that I personally had not thought about until this moment is the idea of having a license agreement. As we are all developing our business plans, we know that the IP, the idea that we have and how it's protected is really the main value that we have. But how is it that we want our investors to invest in it? What is it we're giving them? Are we giving them equity in our company? Or are we asking for cash up front? What is it that we're asking for? I think that's a really important thing to all think about. I think one of the things Anita said is that what a patent is, really, is the right to have a monopoly over an idea. So you were the first to invent this idea. It means nothing if you can't protect it. You can have a fantastic idea, but it has to be protected. Otherwise, everybody else, as soon as you talk about it, everybody else can use it. So what an idea has to be for it to be patentable by the USPTO is it has to be novel, it has to be non-obvious, and it has to be useful. Those are the three defining things. I don't know how many of you have ideas that you have from your different technologies that are already patented or that are protected, but if they are, that means they've been through the USPTO, the office, and the office has declared that they are novel. Nobody else thought about them before. They're not obvious. And what's the test of non-obviousness is duh. You know, if I put this together with this, I would have come up with that. And it has to be useful. So we showed this as one of those ideas that can be patented. It's novel, it's not obvious, and it's useful. When you have a code, it's something you might want to use. Now, there are lots of different types of intellectual property. I'm going to ask you a question now because I think it's important to think about. I'll give you a real life example, and I trained Anita. She worked under my office, and so the things she talked to you about are real life examples of things that we deal with in universities every day. So I had an investigator come to my office and tell me that he had added something very simple to an existing media, and that suddenly he was able to get stem cells to grow and differentiate into cardiological cells that were actually beating in the dish. Nobody had ever done this before. So I said, so what did you do to make that happen? And he explained what he did. And what he did was really simple. It was so simple that if I would have gotten a patent on it, anybody, anywhere in the world, could have added this off-the-shelf product to existing media and gotten cardiocytes to start beating. So we had a very important decision to make. Do we share it because we want everybody to get cardiocytes to start beating? Do we protect it in some way so that the university can make some money out of the tremendous investment that we had made on this person? And what, if we do protect it, what, from the things you heard Anita talk about, what do you think a way that we could protect it would be?
Yes.
Yes.
The methodology.
The methodology. You're exactly correct. It is a methodology. But how do we protect that methodology? How do we do it so that everybody does not copy it and never have to come to us to buy the media? That's my question. Does anybody have an idea on how we might do that? A trade secret, exactly. Very difficult thing to do, a trade secret. Coca-Cola, like she said, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, and there's formulas out there that are not public and that are actually in vaults, so that nobody can replicate them exactly. That's what we decided to do with this person. We decided to keep it a trade secret. And it's a complicated thing to do because if it's in somebody's head and that somebody, God forbid, gets hit by a truck, then what? So you have to have the trade secret in a way that it is accessible to the people that it needs to be accessible to. You also have to have the trade secret in a way that all of his students don't know about it and now can go out and share it with others. So people have to sign confidentiality agreements and you have to be very, very careful. And then the university can sell the trade secret to a company that makes media, and we can start selling Miami media number so such and such, and it is a secret. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go? Sorry. So why wouldn't you go with the less complicated process of establishing a patent?
Excellent question, and I'm very glad you asked it. The reason we don't do that is because the moment you file for a patent, you are obliged to give all the details. That's the patent. That's your deal with the government. The government gives you monopoly, but you give them the best way to actually do what you're doing. And the government says, for the next 22 years, nobody can do it the same way you do it. But who's to stop everybody in labs everywhere from doing it? And we've had many of these things where people bring us, for example, a new way to stitch up a surgical cut that's better, that gives better results. What we end up doing with that is saying, publish it. Let people learn from what you've learned, and let it go out there, because there is no way we can enforce that. If we were to patent it, how are we going to watch people in surgical suites and make sure that they're not using the stitch that we patented it? So patenting is only good if you really have barriers to entry, what we call barriers to entry into your patented technology. So, you know, those are the kinds of decisions that we make in our position, and I think what you need to think about as you look at your technologies is how tight is your patent, or your trade secret, or your copyright? What barriers to entry are realistically there? What's going to stop me, once I look at your business, to say, me too, I can do the same thing. I can engineer around what you did and do it also. So while you establish your business plan, think about those things really carefully. And if there are any questions that I can answer, I'd be very happy to try.
Elizabeth, can you talk a little bit about the fencing of these four objects and the complication and the cost in the fencing of this?
Yeah, very, very good question. So the costs and how you can defend every one of these. So patents are very expensive. If you want a patent, and more you're going to need a patent that is worldwide, or at least in what we call the BRIC countries, which are Brazil, Russia, India, and China, because those are the countries that if you do not have patents in them, the likelihood that there will be, that people will work around their patents is extremely high. So BRIC countries, US, Canada, Australia, a few countries that you're going to have to do, it can cost you in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a patent, okay? So it's very expensive. So as a university, and I think, well, NASA probably has more money than most universities, but these entities that we have technologies from have to think about very carefully, do I really want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars protecting this idea? And if I do, it better be a really good idea. It better be something that nobody can engineer around and have a Me Too product. So that would be a patent. And so you would only do that really if it is so unique and novel and defensible, as you asked. If someone were to infringe on my patent, I would know it. I have a new drug. It's a new family of drugs. Nobody can synthesize that and sell it. Somebody can synthesize it in their garage and play with it. But nobody can sell it and make money without it coming to my attention, because I have a patent. And I will go after them because they've infringed my patent, and I will win. So that's the patent. Copyrights are a lot more gray. Copyright is what is given to somebody when they write or draw or paint or create something. You know, names are copyrighted. And it belongs to them. However, it has become harder and harder with scanning and photocopying and the way that we distribute things today to enforce copyrights in the way they used to be enforced. So sometimes copyrights are not worth the money, and they aren't as expensive either. It's very, very inexpensive. A trademark is very inexpensive, and it is completely enforceable. So the big example is the Nike swoosh, for example. Nobody can use anything identical to that. That belongs to Nike. It is a logo that they trademark, the Coca-Cola sign. Anywhere in the world you go, in whatever language, that sign kind of smiles out of a bottle. And that is trademarked completely tightly. Nobody can do anything with it. And trade secret, as I explained, is something where there is not going to be, it is not going to be protectable. So if you really want people to purchase it from you or from your one licensor, you better just keep it as a trade secret and protect it. It costs nothing, but it can leak. And if it leaks, it's worth nothing. So, yes?
Can you give us some guidance on what we should use from the perspective of, or what you would advise us on from the perspective of our financial terms in our business plan for the license for the universities?
Sure. Yeah, that's what I have done for a living for a long time. I certainly could do that. I think Anita showed you what a classic license agreement looks like. I think you need to think about, I'm not sure which group you're in and what it is you're doing. You need to think about, do you want it to be exclusive? If it's going to be exclusive, it's going to be a lot more expensive. But you're the only one that are going to have a right to use it. So you get something for the money you're paying. Or do you want it to be non-exclusive? Do you want it to have rights to everywhere in the world, or do you just want to work in the United States? Do you want it to be for all uses? You know, sometimes people buy something just for veterinary use, but they're not interested in human use. I've had people buy the same drug to help with hair loss and to help with a complete other, skin disease. So I can sell, as a university, I can sell the same drug non-exclusively for many different uses. It's going to change the terms that you're going to...
And that's sort of where I'm coming from. We're not going to get to the point where we negotiate a specific deal.
Right.
We have to have something in our framework because it's a significant cost of the business going forward.
Right.
What would you suggest?
Well, one question here, do you have a patented product?
Yes.
Okay, so you find out how much the university paid for the patent. That's really, really important. And if it's a couple $100,000, you have to give them that. That's a sine qua non. Then, moving forward, I mean, it really varies tremendously depending on what the product is, but you can also offer them equity in your company, and instead of offering them money. And that's a very good way to do it, because you're cash poor right now. You don't have money to buy it from them. But you can offer them that down the line they will have 5%, 10% of your equity, or offer them royalties. Once you sell it to whoever you sell it to, give them 1% of the royalties that you're going to make. There's lots of ways to do that. Okay. Do we have time for another question? Okay.
Well, it's not a question, but something for everyone to, or I want to share with everyone, because I worked in the past with some intellectual and design and things. I think we should all rely on making something like a good mix of protecting our work or our design or whatever we are working today, or the different fields, with patents, copyrights, trademarks, it's a combination of them all, not limited to patents or copyrights. Use all together, because it's going to be to offer us a broader protection.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay.
And I don't agree with that because there are some things that are definite, should be a trade secret. Like what I just told you, the media. I wasn't going to patent that. I wasn't going to copyright it or trademark it. It wouldn't have made any sense. So there are times to use the different protections. You very seldom use everything for one invention, in my view. That's one of the big business decisions that you have to make before you even get started. And as Anita spoke, one of the most important things is to look around and see what else is patented out there and make sure that it really has a good chance of going through. So, okay, thank you very much. Wonderful job.